All right, hi teachers. It is 3 p.m. on Tuesdays. That means it is time for UEN and GEGUtah's Applied Digital Skills Lesson Plan Series. This is video 3 out of 10, which I'm very excited about. We're going to be continuing this series throughout the month of December into the end of January. A lesson plan a week. We're going to shoot for those 10 lesson plans and get you very excited about going on to applied digital skills and using a lesson plan from there to teach your class. Now, if you have not seen one of the videos before, or if you are brand new to applied digital skills, that's all right. Today, we're going to walk you through the entire lesson, the different ideas behind it, and show you the materials on applied digital skills, and then walk us through. And afterwards, we're going to do a little remix activity with it to show you some different ideas that we can build off of to maybe use this in your class, as well as share some materials from that process. So with that said, let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen with you today, and we're going to put all the materials up on the screen. So this right here is our website that we're working off of. If you're part of GEGUtah, it is in the post that went out on email just earlier today and throughout the last couple of weeks. The website URL is go.uen.org/lowercase b, uppercase T, and the number 9. That again is go.uen.org/b, uppercase T, and 9. Now, this is also in the show notes down below in the comments. So look for that really quick and you're ready to roll. A couple things about me. First of all, my name is Matt Winters. If you haven't met me before, nice to meet you. I am a UEN instructor and I am the GEGUtah co-leader with Kelly Cannon. I'm very excited to be here and to work with you and share some ideas about how to use Google in your classroom. So first of all, if you would like to join GEGUtah, feel free to. This link right here will drop you on there and get you ready to use GEGUtah materials. You can be a part of our group. We have lots of different activities that we do, lots of training sessions, as well as we send out lesson plans and ideas throughout the year to help support Utah teachers and teachers all across the world. We have teachers from the Middle East that are in our group, teachers from all over the continental United States. It's fantastic. You can email me at mwinters@uen.org, or you can get at me on Twitter @teacherwinters or on Instagram @teacherwintersutah. All right, with that said, down below, there are some hot links to the previous lessons, build a portfolio with Google Sites, and the if-then storytelling, as well as over here on the left-hand side, you can see here are links to those websites and they're ready to roll. Now, on each one of those, you'll find all the materials from Applied Digital Skills, a starter project, or a video to help you get started, some sample projects, and then the remix option as well. And both videos, or both weeks, I now have the video on those pages as well. So if you haven't watched those yet, you can go ahead and click on those. Each one's between 30 to 40 minutes in length and walk you again through the whole process of how to do this lesson with your students and get you excited about doing it. All right, today where we're going to spend most of our time is on this page, which we're going to be working on research and develop a topic with Google Docs. Now, this sounds like a straight ahead research paper. We're going to go and find some sources and plug it in. Why we're doing this, though, is that it's actually a lesson that masquerades as a basic research project and is actually a digital literacy activity. So we know that there are a lot of websites, social media, videos, all sorts of things that are giving out inaccurate or sometimes outright lies of information. And Google recognizes that there are some things that students need to be a little bit more prepared on to understand whether or not they should use it in a research essay or believe it as a person. And so with that said, this lesson asks students to work with that idea, but then also to write some inaccurate news, which is kind of fun. So it's asking them to kind of take that position on of creating the fake news, the inaccurate source, and see if people actually believe them. So with that said, a couple things on this page that are really interesting. So first of all, Google Applied Digital Skills lesson is just linked right here. It'll take you to this page, which we'll spend some time on here in the next couple of minutes. So be prepared for that. That also links right here in the big picture, so you can click on that and that works as well. For our starter project today, we don't have one on Google Docs just because we're going to start with a blank Google Doc and work together on it. But this video, if you are maybe newer to Google Docs or you need a refresher, or maybe you just want to learn what's new to it, this video was made by UEN and GEGUtah just about 6 to 8 weeks ago, walks through the entire process and gives you lots of great hints and tips on Google Docs. Underneath that, we also have some lesson resources, which we're going to talk about Scribble a little bit. This is particularly for Utah teachers, but any teacher worldwide could use this as well. Just Utah teachers have some interesting access to it, which we'll talk about later. And then we also have our remix option that for some reason the picture's not working. We'll fix that later. It's all good. All right, to start off with today, we're just going to go ahead and click on the lesson. I'm going to show you some of the things that Google suggests with the Applied Digital Skills lesson, and then I'm going to walk you through some of the things that I would do with my students to get them going on this lesson. Know that this lesson is particularly heavy on guide on the side material. You will not be doing a ton of stuff in front of your class, explaining information or ideas, even doing tutorials with them. It's going to be really quick because Google Docs, a lot of students might already have kind of known information about that, or have already worked with Google Docs. So it's a pretty quick process to get them into this activity and then move into that position where you're walking around coaching students, working with them, maybe even conspiring with them to create even better bad information news articles, which honestly, that's the fun part. Like, give me that any day as a teacher. Like, I would love to sit down with a couple of students that are really diabolical and come up with a great, like, bad news article. That's going to be fun. So that's kind of what we're going to focus on today. And again, it's a fun activity. It's one that you could do 1 to 2 class periods, maybe a week long at most. It would be great for an English class, ELA class, maybe a social studies class. Definitely if you have a digital citizenship course in your class, that would be fantastic. But I could also see this being adapted into like a science class. Let's write an article with fake information about a particular science topic that we're covering and see if you can pick out what's wrong about it based on what we learned in class. Or math, let's write an article misusing mathematics to prove a point, and let's talk about why it's problematic and what's wrong with it. And that opens up some interesting discussions about digital literacy issues, but then also it opens up some great information about helping students to use the information in your class in an interesting way rather than just regurgitation. So let's jump into it, shall we? So we're going to click either on this link or the big picture here. That'll take us to this page. Now, if you've never been to Applied Digital Skills and this is your first time using it, that is totally fine. What's great about this is that you don't even have to sign in to view the lessons, and neither do your students. So you could go up here, click sign in, use your Google account, and walk you through the process. Your students could do the same. If you're worried about privacy, it is a Google application. So if your district is already using Google, it's safe to say that you could use this. But again, always check with your technical directors, make sure you aren't breaking any rules. We don't want to have any breach of data for students. But this is pretty safe. So you can sign in, but you don't have to. That's the great thing about Applied Digital Skills is that you can just start this lesson and go through, see all the materials. Your students could as well. The reason why you'd sign in is that students would be, or teachers would be able to track students as they go and their progress, what they've watched, what they've turned in, those sorts of things. So it's helpful, but it's not essential. You can do it 2 different ways. We're not going to start with start. You could start and jump in. We'll get to that in a few minutes, but I do want to draw your attention to something I haven't drawn your attention to before in these videos, which is just below. So underneath the lesson card here, which by the way, you can share this via Google Classroom, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you'd like. But underneath there, you have your activities tab. This tells you how long this activity takes to complete on average, which is 3 to 4 hours. So, you could shorten it, do it in a class period or 2, or you could lengthen it out to a whole week and do some interesting things. Here's the digital tools that we will be working with or could work with this. And then the skills that students are going to be using, some code scripting, internet search, source evaluation, that material. Underneath that, you have the lessons and the videos that the students will be working with, as well as some of the links. And then underneath that, some of the work that they'll be doing as well. Now, there's a lot to this lesson. What we're going to focus on is actually just doing tests for credibility and explore a topic with research and collaboration. We're going to have a special coding week next week to do some app script stuff. So be prepared for that. If you've never done app script coding, it's really fun and really straightforward, and Google Applied Digital Skills makes it super simple, but we're not going to necessarily use this one this week, but it's a great extension if you want your students to do some basic coding in your class, and this walks them through that whole process. All right, another thing that's on here as well is teaching materials. It's just right here next to activities, and this gives you the lesson plan, certificates, a sample rubric, and it downloads all the videos in one nice, neat package. So I just want to highlight this for you as teachers, is that you could download all this, put it onto a Google site, Canvas, anywhere you'd like, as long as it's for educational purposes, and you could have it shared with your students and make it a little bit simpler for everyone involved. So with that said, let's get into the lesson. So go ahead, just like always, click start. It's got a great little introduction video. And again, you can download each individual videos just right here, turn captions on and off, change the playback speed, do picture to picture, and then also change the playback speed here. Basically what the lesson is going to ask us to do is pull a topic that we would like to write something about, okay? Now that's something that we're gonna write about is an infactual article, something that is inaccurate, that is problematic in some way. So walking us through here on the next video, we're gonna decide in a 2-person group, so this is a paired assignment, which works great with docs. Just having 2 people, it's fantastic. Could students do this on their own? Absolutely, but is it better with 2 people? Yes, because then it gets more diabolical. They're going to create a brand new document, share that document with their partner. Okay, so let's go ahead and do these 3 steps right now and make sure that we're ready to roll. So the first thing they're going to do, open a new tab. I'm going to share my favorite Google hot link right here. If you type in docs.new, brand new Google Doc without having to go through Drive. Works for Sheets, Slides, and Forms as well. So forms.new, sheets.new, slides.new, docs.new. Teach it to your students. It's fantastic. First thing we always do, we're going to title this, and we're going to add the title of the topic that we're working with, or the project. So this is research and develop a topic. Cool. Got that done. To share it, as always, we're going to click share right here. And then right here, we can add the teacher's name, the student's name, whatever we need to do. And then that'll send an email to them. They can open it up and start working on it. So really easy, straightforward process there for students to master. And most students, if they've used Google for more than a couple months in class, they probably will know this. All right, so easy peasy. Let's move on. Next step, you ask your students to talk with their partner, decide on a topic. They're going to add a title to their document, which we've actually already done. Yay, we're ahead of it, which is great. They're going to return to their own computer, and they're going to write an article with your partner that is at least 2 paragraphs long and gives readers 3 clues that the article is not credible. So in a 2-paragraph essay, the students are going to write 3 clues into it that it is false. Okay. Now, those clues could be big, it could be small, it could be any number of things. And maybe we're going to ask them to rely on information that they've learned previously through digital citizenship or digital literacy. So like, for instance, one of the things of the video, which is incredible and you should watch it, and I would definitely encourage you to show it to your students as well, is they walk through and say, hey, maybe you need to Google search the name of the author of the university. Maybe it's a fake university. Maybe that author really didn't write that article, or maybe that author doesn't even exist. And that, just doing a simple Google search on the biographical, the kind of the citational information at the top, can walk us through that process and get us some information very quickly to work off of. They also provide some great links to sample articles. So right here, compound from dinosaur bones make people grow taller, which that just sounds real right there, right? And then using a mobile device before you sleep makes you smarter. So those 2 articles right there, those are samples to show students how to do this process. Definitely would share that with them and let them work off of them. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump back over. We're going to jump in. So I'm going to pretend like I'm 2 people for a second. So I would have a long scale discussion with my partner. What topic are we doing? Why are we doing it? What are we going to say that's false about it? Okay. So I would give students maybe 10-15 minutes to work on this. And this is where you as a teacher can wander around, guide on the side, coaching mode, whatever you want to call it, working with students one-on-one or groups in a small group with them to get those ideas with the students. And again, be diabolical with them, encourage them to take it even further, take the joke even further, and see what kind of weird, crazy, awesome ideas they can come up with. Suggest awesome topics for them as well, things that are relevant to right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give us a title right now. So do it like I would for MLA or for a regular title. So I'm going to open a quotation mark here. Studies from Oxbone University say that TikTok, see, I'm old. I just wrote TikTok wrong there. Sorry. Oh, see, I did it again. So yeah, not a TikTok user. Say that TikTok helps students memory. Let's see, helps students to retain information over a longer period of time. Cool. There's my title. Put it in parentheses, but there's already one fake inconsistency. As far as I know, there's no Oxbone University, but it sounds and looks close enough to Oxford University that if you're not reading carefully, there you go. Now we're going to add the authorship underneath that. I'm just going to actually put my name. All right. And then we're going to put a date. So this will be, let's say, September 7th, 2021. And then let's get into writing. So this is where I'm going to not write anything, but this is where you would encourage your students to write. So just to kind of give you an idea, maybe you want to set up a document beforehand where all of this is kind of outlined for them. So rather than having this, I'm going to Control C that and copy it. They have open, title, author, date, and then you can take it even further if you want to, depending on level. Where was it published? What was the publishing city? Give us an MLA citation or an APA citation, that sort of thing. And then you can give them space for the writing. So Google Applied Digital Skills recommends that each student has a space to write at least one paragraph. And depending, again, on your grade level, it might be more or less writing. I taught middle school, upper grade English. So I would look for 7 to 9 sentence paragraphs. So this is where you could give some instructions. Student 1, write at least 7 to 9 sentences, and then enter down a little bit. Student 2, write at least 7 to 9 sentences. Now what's great is that they're going to start writing and they're both going to be writing on the same page. So even though they could move around, maybe go to different parts of the classroom, work at home, maybe the bell rings and you don't have enough time to give them to write, and it's going to happen tomorrow. They're going to do it as homework on their way home or whatever. They have some space and they're going to be able to see that other person's writing going through. And what's great is that then they can start editing and working on that writing and making it sound more collaborative and as a whole authorship than two people writing an article separately. They can help each other with grammar, mechanics, those sorts of things. And just from a writing standpoint, a couple of things that I might ask my students to do at this point is just to remind them that when we go to tools, spelling and grammar is available. Check your spelling and grammar, folks. If there's a squiggly line underneath it, whatever color, you probably have something you need to fix. So let's try that out. You might want to have them check out their word count. Have they actually met a word count requirement? Maybe instead of 7 to 9 sentences, you want 150 words per paragraph. That's a great way to do it. Then also they can get into citations as well and actually cite some material that is real to support their argument, like a real article would. So that might be for something for upper grades, maybe like 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade English or social studies or whatever class you're teaching, where the students add 3 or 4 citations to, in a sly way, fake their information to prove their point and prove the article. So tools offer some great suggestions for there as well. So again, having them build a title, authorship, date, student 1 writes a bit, student 2 writes a bit, and then they compare and contrast. And maybe you add on some extensions of having them write some citations and add those on as well. All right, going back to our video, we're going to move on to the next page. So sit with your partner at one computer, share your article with the other members in your group, read your partner's article, add at least 3 comments about credibility clues. Oh, all right. So let's talk about that. So let's say the students have written their articles and now they have those fake pieces of information, kind of like, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it in here, kind of like Oxbone University right here. Okay. So maybe what they do is they highlight the title And up here in the top, they can add a comment or hit Control Alt M, and that will allow them to add a comment. And maybe this is where they say credibility check 1. So maybe as a group, you've decided, or as a class, you've decided that it's going to be credibility check, going to give them a hint. You need to check this area. Is this a credibility point? And what's wrong about it? And then they can add a comment underneath that as readers, what's going on. So sharing the article back and forth for credibility checks and making sure that the information is accurate and you're ready to roll. Once the students then share and they've gone through and checked the credibility, then they can read the comments, go back, revise, make it even better, and kind of get that ongoing diabolicalness going even further. All right, this one is the wrap-up video for Check for Credibility. So this is where I would end maybe for till you're ready to go on to coding or other materials. But we're just going to go ahead and click next as well. And remember that there's a survey at the end of every unit that if you have your students log in, they're going to be able to take a little quiz and you're going to be able to see the results, which is nice. And those quizzes are fantastic. All right. First, part 2 of this, before we get into the coding, they do want us to choose a research topic. So in this case, we're going to create a blank document and title it Research Notes. So again, right here, now we're going to get real. So they've had their fun, they've done credibility checks. Now we're going to write an actual research paper and dig into it. So we're going to go ahead and use that shortcut again, docs.new. We're going to title our document Research Notes. And our topic, I'm going to actually use something that's pretty heavy right now. TikTok is one of those things that's being discussed a lot because it's a social media platform. We have a lot of things going on with it. That's going to be my topic of choice. Now, you could work with your students to pick a different research topic, or you could have a funneling. We're all going to work on social media, choose something within that, or we're going to talk about the Civil War, pick something within that to kind of work off of. So lots of different options there as well. Next one we're going to do is we're going to use Google search and advanced search to find credible websites for your topic. They're going to refine those search terms until the results fit your topic and move on to the next video to continue your research. So what this video teaches the students is how to do research with advanced search features, which if we just go here and go to google.com and let's just go ahead and search up TikTok. See, spelled it again wrong. So right here, this is going to give us, TikTok, the information about it, those sorts of things. It's going to give us the people, why is it so bad, those sorts of things. But what most users don't necessarily know, and this is what that video digs into, is that there are research tools right here. So right here, if I click tools, click anytime, I can see a custom range, past hour, past 24 hours, and I can shift my results to exactly those words or all results. I can also look at different results. So I can look for books and news, and I can start digging into that credibility. And they walk students through that process of what is a credible source? What does it mean to be credible going forward? All right. Now, as part of their research process, they're basically going to be doing an annotated bibliography on their research notes page. So they're going to choose 3 different topics, 3 different websites. You're going to test each site for credibility using the credibility that we looked at earlier. And then they're going to include that information in their research notes. They're going to include basically a citation, the source, and the URL, and create a bulleted list for those notes. So this is a great way for students to really dig in with their teacher on their own or small groups. Look at a topic that they're interested in, start evaluating information that they find about it. So rather than digging in and writing a research essay, which is the thought process that a lot of teachers go through, hey, I got to have them do a research paper, I'm going to jump in. This actually has the students pause, and we're not even worried about the research paper. You have 3 sources in front of you that you've chosen. What's good about these sources? What's bad about them? What's credible? What's not credible? What do we need to focus on all the way through? And then we're keeping track of it just in a simple bulleted list form on Google Docs. Super helpful for students and teaches them, again, that digital literacy, digital citizenship components that we're working with. All right. Finally, after they do all that, on that same note, they're going to write a research paragraph, digging into that process. What is your research actually saying? And down below, writing a little bit about that. They're also going to read back through the research notes, organize information, and then write a little paragraph summarizing the information that they found. So basically, for those of us that are English teachers, social studies teachers, science teachers, a lot of us talk about synthesis, taking information, putting it into your own words, putting it all together in a paragraph. This teaches them that process going through in a very simple, straightforward way. I love it. I think it's fantastic. All right, this is our wrap up. And then again, we're going to get a little survey, a little quiz to see if students really capture the skills, and students can go back and take that again if they need to. Part 3 really gets into coding and digging into script editors and finding a project within that. We unfortunately just don't have enough time to cover that today because I really wanted to dig into the digital citizenship component. But next week, we're going to be looking at a app script coding project. So there's going to be a lot of stuff in there. I'm going to give you a lot of information on that because next week is CS, Computer Science Education Week. And I want to make sure we hit a great applied digital skills lesson plan that hits that realm, that computer science background, and challenges us with some coding. So this is where I personally would cut the lesson. I've gotten my students to a point where they can now synthesize information for their research paper. And then you can maybe even rinse and repeat. Okay, you've done 3 sources. Next week, we're going to do another 3. And the next week, we're going to do another 3. And at the end, you're going to synthesize every single one. And then you have a fully fledged research paper. We just gloss it up, go through the writing process individually, and then revision process with our partners. And then we're good to go. So really cool stuff there from Google. But let's look at some options and some remixes as well. So what we're going to do really quickly is go back to our site. So again, I'm going to go home really quick and put the URL on this video again, go.uen.org/lowercase b, uppercase t, and then number 9. That'll get you to this page. This has all the lessons that we've done previously, and it'll have all the videos in the future, along with all the materials. So we're going to go down to the research and develop a topic with Google Docs. Again, here's the link to the applied digital skill lesson plan. But again, start a project. If you haven't used Google Docs, or if you're a little bit rusty on your Google Docs use, this is a great video that will walk you through. It was a training video we did for GCE1, Google Certified Educator Level 1 and Level 2, that will give you all the information you need to know to move forward. Okay. Down below that, though, is our UEN and GEGUtah lesson resources. In this case, we're going to talk about Scribble for a minute. So this is mostly for Utah teachers, but it is a product that is on the extension app store through Google. So any teacher, any school could really dig into this and use it with their students. What Scribble is it's a management tool for collecting sources and then annotating those sources and collecting those annotations into a research paper. So the process that we just went through with our students on applied digital skills is that we've gone out, we wrote a fake news article. We've now come back. We're going to examine our topic, look at the sources that we're pulling in for that topic in that research paper, and evaluating those sources for credibility. Scribble can help with that. So what it allows you to do through a 2-part system. For part 1 is the Scribble library, which is where all your sources get placed. And then there's a great place to write an essay, do an outline, bibliography, all that jazz. The second part is the extension tool, called the Scribble toolbar. That allows us to click the extension on any web page and annotate in real time that web page. So students click that on every article that they pull in, those 3 articles that they're going to read. They can annotate maybe in green what they think is accurate information. Red is inaccurate, or things that they think is problematic or maybe biased in some way. And so you as a class can develop that annotation scheme, and then that goes into their Scribble account, and they can organize that very quickly into a research paper. So it is a very slick little system that really helps out. For Utah teachers and Utah classrooms, it is free. So there's a license out there for the state of Utah. Every district has already been added in, and you just have to sign up for an account and get your students signed up. To do that, you can learn more on Scribble for Utah's launch page, which is linked right here. There is the Scribble login page, which depending on your district, you might be a single sign-on district for Google or for Microsoft, or maybe another like Clever, another system. When you click the Scribble login, it will open up, and then you can log in just clicking one of those buttons. If you're a first time user, it's going to ask you a couple of questions to walk you through the process. Are you a teacher? Are you a student? Are you a public ed teacher? Where do you teach? What are you going to be using it for? Those sorts of things, stuff that you can answer in just a couple minutes. But then it'll launch you into Scribble, and I'll just show you really quickly. Here's my account right here, and it drops me right into Scribble. This is what the library will look like for you. And you can see all of these are sources that I've pulled into this specific library as an example earlier this week. I can also go to another example with hundreds of sources in it, or dozens of sources, I should say. And these are all individual sources that I can work with and see who added them to my library, which is really kind of cool. The last thing is that if you're interested in diving into this course, there's two things. So one is there's a playlist right here of videos that yours truly made to introduce this to Utah teachers. There's 7 videos. Some of them are super quick, some of them are a little bit longer, but they'll walk you through the entire process of how to use Scribble in your classroom and get you going on it. So feel free to use those. On the flip side, we do have a Mooc course, which is a massive online course through UEN. It is open and you're able to enroll today. We've had a couple dozen teachers log in and enroll since 2 weeks ago. We'd love to have you. You can get USB credit or SU credit for the course, which means relicensure hours, and it'll walk you through how to use Scribble and Utah's online library to be research ready with your students and produce great articles. And if you pair all of that information back with this wonderful lesson and some of the other wonderful lessons on digital literacy from Applied Digital Skills, it's a home run. You can really hit what your students need and can engage with them in a really interesting way. All right, with that said, let's talk Remix for a second. So going back to our original page. So here's all the Scribble information. Again, if you're interested, you can dig in there and get excited. Underneath that is our Remix option, which is a Google Slides option. And I've already created a template for you that you can work off of. To get that template, you can just click this button or the picture and you're going to get a copy in your drive. What that looks like is this page right here. So I went on Canva, which is one of my favorite tools, and made this great little topic outline tool. So the first thing is today's topic. Students can go ahead and click and use either this color or this color. So 2 different options there. Or if you have partners, 1 page, 2 page, that sort of thing. And they will overview the topic, the article that they're going to build. So remember that fake information article that we were building earlier. They can overview and create kind of a play-by-play of how they're going to introduce that topic. Then they can outline the paper a little bit more, or they can use this to grab those sources that we talked about. And then finally, as a pair, they can use this box and write out their articles or copy and paste them in here. And then this becomes a great little presentation tool that students can use to present this in class, or you can play a fake information game. Where's the information gone wrong here? But also you can add pictures and videos and GIFs and all sorts of stuff to this. So it makes it a little bit more personalized, particularly with students, than what we see with Google Docs. So really fun to work with. What's great about this too is, just like the other couple of weeks, if you right click and apply layout, there's only those 5 layouts of the 2 different color backgrounds for the outline and today's topic, and then only the 1 page for the write it out. So it makes it really simple for students to get directly into the writing content that we want them to and really build off of it and engage. So quick little Remix option there. Definitely check it out. See if it's something that's valuable for your students, and feel free to use it, share it however you want. It's a remix, so remix it even further if you want to. And if you do, send it back to me. I'd love to see what you do with it. All right, with that said, we've got just a couple minutes left here. I'm going to close out here in about 3-4 minutes. Excuse me. I do want to just cover a couple things that will be helpful. So next week, our lesson that we're going to be working on, we're going to dig into, going back to Applied Digital Skills for a second, we're going to be digging into one of the lessons for Computer Science Education Week 2021. So how I got there, browse lessons, Computer Science Education Week 2021. Computer science and coding, that sounds like it's only for specific classes, but I will argue you can do coding, you can do computer science with any class. It just takes creativity, and down the line, students will appreciate it because that exposure to coding to circuitry to computer science really helps them in a lot of different ways. It's helped me in my life for sure. So in here, you can see there are tons and tons of lessons that you can work with. Just simple things like a joke telling talk bot, which is so cool. That's so much fun. The lesson that we just did, the research and develop a topic, to some kind of bigger, like kind of larger scale lessons, like pick the next box office hit. So doing some like, let's see if we can forecast what the next movie will be. The lesson that we're going to excuse me. The lesson that we're going to do next week is this one right here. It's called Program a Progress Bar. It's a one of the shorter lessons. So you can see we have 4 to 5 hours, 6 to 9 hours, 2 to 5. This one's only 45 minutes to 90 minutes, and we can definitely do it in this time. And it does involve both Google Slides, which a lot of people are familiar with, and Google app scripting. And what we're going to do is build a little progress bar as they go through the slide deck that fills up and shows them exactly how far they've gone on the slides, which is really kind of cool. Very simple project. Anybody can do it. Let's jump into it next Tuesday. So be prepared for that. Now, with that said, that video will be up on YouTube. Unfortunately, I won't be there live next Tuesday, so you'll be able to watch that starting on Tuesday on our YouTube channel. Send out the links before that day when it comes out. So be prepared for that. All right. Last thing really quick here, folks, before I head out. Again, the website for all this information is go.uen.org/lowercase b, uppercase T 9. A couple things on here that might help you out in the future. Feel free to email me, mwinners@uen.org. I'd be more than happy to work with you and get you any questions and answers that I can. And underneath that, we also have all of the material for UEN, wakelet of all the materials that we cover at UEN, lots of different things, our social media accounts, latest Google and EDU and 90, the Google Educator page from UEN as well. And then if you're interested, please join GEGUtah. It's one of my favorite groups I'm a part of. I love working with the teachers in that group. Such a lively, fantastic group of people. And we do a lot of sharing. But if you just go ahead and click this link, it will take you to our GEG page. And then you can go ahead and click joining GEGUtah and fill out the form. It takes just a couple minutes, but then you're added to our GEGUtah teachers page, which I'll show you in a second. And then also a Google Educator group where it's basically like a message board, share ideas, share information that is locked only to GEGUtah teachers. So again, you can jump on here and be a part of our group, share your information, and start a bigger network of teachers who are excited to use Google in their classroom, not just in Utah, nationwide, worldwide. Let's get some really interesting things going. All right. Again, my name is Matthew Winters. There's my contact information. Next week, we'll be doing that great program of progress bar in Google App Script and Google Slides. So be prepared for that. But otherwise, take care, and we will talk next week. Thanks so much.